Welcome to First Frames First, episode 72.
Heyo!
I'm one of your hosts, Jason.
And I'm the other host, the better host, the more handsome host,
Debatable.
more talented host,
And I'm the-
Adrain Constantin.
I'm the third host today, Luke Barlow.
Hello, Luke. Welcome. We spent a whole episode just
That's
talking
not a
about
knife.
He's Australian.
The amount of times I've heard that, it's embarrassing.
That's not a knife.
That is a
This
knife.
is a spoon.
That's a spoon.
So, welcome, Luke.
Welcome.
Luke lives in BC. He works as a camera assistant, a first camera assistant. He does a lot of work on a lot of very big shows.
And we're going to get into that
But first,
right after these breaks.
who are we?
Nobody's!
Speak for yourself.
Okay. We're Canadian filmmakers with the dream of surviving financially on the backs of our films.
Welcome to our show where we bring people along on our film journey.
Maybe we can learn a thing or two.
Maybe we can teach people a thing or two while drinking beers.
I mean, if you can't drink beers while filmmaking, what's the point?
We are Fable Forest Films, failing our way to success.
Welcome to Jurassic Park. I mean, our show. First Frames First. I don't know.
Welcome
Because
back.
here's the thing. Someday we're going to have, like, commercials.
Yeah,
That's
not
not going to...
today.
Welcome to Squarespace.
Yeah. If you have a website,
Yeah,
I'm gonna read some stuff from some guys.
Have you driven the new 2019 Chrysler Pacifica?
Electric seats that go down.
Now in a hybrid.
Welcome,
It has to
Luke.
be. It has to
Welcome.
be.
Welcome to the real show.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Okay, so Luke, give us a little background there. Tell us about you and where you started in the film industry and why.
Right, I've been in the film industry about 20 years now. I started out a
Jesus.
long time ago as a lowly PA on a little film shot in Sydney, Australia called Moulin Rouge.
Holy shit.
Yeah, Phew. It was great. So I did that for about 3 months, and then I jumped onto another little film called Star Wars Episode 2: Attack of the Clones.
Little film.
Did that for about a month.
And this is all as a PA?
This is all just as a PA, or in Australia it's called unit, a unit department, a unit assistant. So it deals with garbage bins.
Easy shades.
Pop-up tents, easy
yeah,
shades,
yeah.
anything to do with the production.
How much garbage
Yeah,
is on a Star Wars set?
there's a lot of garbage on every set.
Every
the
set.
waste in the film industry is
Pretty atrocious.
ridiculous. Like bags and bags of just food, but like every end of a film day, it's the location PA's jobs to get all the garbage bags and they throw it in the back of a truck. And I would say on an average film set, there's probably 50 to 80 bags of garbage every day.
Every day?
Every day. And even the food, you can't even... They've tried to set up things where they can take... Because we get catering, obviously, 3 meals a day. Fantastic catering. Plus, there's also just this thing called Crafty, which is a huge tent
Snacks.
full of snacks. Like, all day, every day. Plus, hot snack, we get sandwiches. And
Those were the
like,
best
there's-
sandwiches ever.
like there's so much food on set and you can't actually give it away because you can't pack it up and drop it down to the people that need it because they think that it's they could have stuff in it and then they're legally not allowed to do it. I think they try
If
to.
somebody gets sick, you'll be
Someone
in big
gets
trouble.
sick and
the company that makes the food will be in big trouble.
yeah, so it's
So they're just not worth it. Yeah.
it's shocking the amount of wastage, but it's it's
Now that
It is what it
I
is.
have seen on the line some folks getting pretty irritated about the amount of waste in the film industry and getting. So I always assumed, this was just, people being particularly precious about things these days. But it is it is pretty crazy.
yeah,
is what you're
absolutely.
saying.
And there's a lot of big pushes now for going green, obviously. Even just printing out scripts, and I've done a lot of work in TV.
Yeah. Oh, the amount of paper. If
Now-
you're printing a script for every member of the crew,
Oh, no, not even that. That's nothing. If you do a TV series and say episode 101, it's going to be 50 pages, 45 pages. That's just the first revision. That's just the first draft. There's like salmon, rose, goldenrod, and every time they print out new scripts of each episode and plus revisions.
They give it to everyone.
Yeah, well, everyone gets
But don't they
emailed. They get emailed, but they get emailed out. But they also print out, like, it'll get to a point where it'll be, okay, new draft. Okay, then there's the goldenrod revisions of the green draft. And so someone's got to collate all these things in a script, and they get to a point where they've got too many revisions, so they reprint out a new, like, salmon draft. And that's just one episode. When you're doing 22 episodes...
All right, what is the goldenrod version?
Well, I can't remember the ranking. It's...
Yeah.
These are just
the white,
different stages of the same draft.
Yeah, the white. The
and
white
what did you say
draft
the one was? The salmon draft?
The
Not
first
pink.
draft is white.
Salmon. So it's man pink.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Okay. And I forget the thing. Do you know the
I don't
thing?
know. I don't know the order because I've never done it. But
there's
like
green.
But it starts with blue. It goes blue.
Green.
Yeah. It just moves through
salmon,
the color so you know how many
goldenrod.
revisions have happened.
Yeah.
And you're just and you can do just a couple pages. They can be just a couple of
It's
blue
just a couple of
in your
pages.
script.
Yeah, but
Or you can get a whole script that's blue.
exactly. And so, like, for example, I'm on the show right now, Virgin River, and I just got emailed blue schedules. So they release a white schedule, but now there's blue schedules because it's an updated schedule. So it's things like that. I delete all the script stuff because I don't read it, but I don't care.
So Luke,
Yes.
after you worked on Star Wars, he's worked on some huge movies.
So can I just say, because this is what I do, jump in and tell irrelevant stories. But
It's true.
Moulin Rouge, my wife's best friend, just before we got married, we went out to visit her and her husband. And her husband basically wooed his wife with that Elton John song.
Your song?
That's the one.
Your song.
From Moulin Rouge. And she fell in love with him. And
It's a great song.
So I'm just telling you that...
Which is an excellent
That
segue into, while filming that sequence, Ewan McGregor and Nicole Kidman, it's part of the Elephant Love Song medley. I, at that point, decided that I wanted to be an actor. I could do that. I want to be doing that up there, singing and dancing. So I then went and studied acting for a year, and I got an agent, and, did some, day play roles on some Australian drama, Australian TV drama. But my most famous role to date is featured background on another little movie shot in Sydney called The Matrix Reloaded. Featured background, and probably at least once every 6 months, someone will come up to me on a film set and go, "Man, I was watching Matrix Reloaded last weekend, and I saw this thing pop up, and I thought, was that Luke?" And I rewind it, and it was you, man. How old were you? I was like, I was 18. And,
Did you get elbowed by Keanu Reeves?
What
no.
did you have
What
to do?
scene
Who
are we
were
looking
you?
for?
Yeah,
No,
what
so
is
there's
this?
a scene. It's so Matrix Reloaded. There's a scene where Neo, Morpheus, and Trinity go to see the Merovingian, which is the French guy.
In the restaurant, and he
In
makes
the
Married
restaurant.
to...
Yes.
and
Yep.
he makes the girl.
Yeah.
Yes.
with
But more important,
What's his name? Not Lambert. What's his
what's more important than
he's married to...
making someone orgasm with your mind?
I don't know who's married to.
Shoot.
Oh, he in real life?
No,
is
no, no, no,
married
no,
to
no,
someone?
no. His character...
Oh, right. Yes. Monica
oh,
Bellucci. Because she's married to Vincent Castle
Yeah.
in real life. And I was like, I think he means that, but it's not the... Anyway. Yeah, so...
Bellucci.
Bellucci. Anyway, so they... To get down the Merovingian, they walk into an elevator. And I'm actually... There's 4 people in the elevator. There's this girl with blonde hair, and I'm on the left. This strapping, young, short man. on the
It's
left.
good because you can't be taller than the actors.
Yes, and then kind of we kind of walk into the elevator, and Morpheus turns around and does this little look like saying, like, "No, this elevator's full," and you can see us in the reflection in his dope glasses.
Excellent.
But that was it.
That's cool.
And then, funnily enough, about last year, I happened to do a pilot for Seth Rogen. That was
As an AC?
as an AC. That was the cinematographer, DP was a guy by the name of Bill Pope, and he was the DP cinematographer on The Matrix Reloaded. And I went up to him and said, "Hey, Bill, we've actually worked together before." And he's like, "Oh, really? When was that?" And I said, "Back in 2000 on Matrix Reloaded." And then I showed him a screenshot, and he
Laughed.
He laughed.
Yeah.
Because people that know, the cinematographer or the DP is the boss of the camera department. So essentially, he was my boss. But it was a nice little, fun little gag, little bonding moment between us, which was good.
That's cool.
That's cool.
Yep.
Very cool.
Very cool.
And how did you guys meet?
On a film set,
Yeah, which one was it actually?
was it in his shoes?
Oh, the MO Dubs.
Yeah.
We did that and the Christmas log back to back.
Christmas log show. Back to back. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was it.
Yeah. And you were with Austin.
That's right.
Right. And I was with Ted Overton.
Ted Overton, who moved back to Toronto actually
Yes.
and works at Sim Video now.
Does he really?
Yep. He got in touch with me and he was like, "Hey, so I work at Sim Video, or it's a rental house," and he was like, "So for all your video rental needs, get in touch."
Wow.
Yeah. So he moved to BC and then he came back to Toronto because BC sucks.
He went on to be a director in Big Brother or something, I heard
did
at
he?
one point. Yeah.
In TV.
Yeah, in TV.
Yeah, that would probably bring him back to Toronto in a heartbeat.
Yeah. But yeah, it was
How
an
do you
MO Dub.
direct Big Brother?
You just make sure the cameras are rolling.
Yeah, so TV, directing in TV.
Don't they roll all the time in Big
Yeah,
Brother?
Well, directing in TV and directing in film and television series is a lot different. So directing in TV, you're almost in charge of. You're almost like the cinematographer in film. So you set up the camera angles. Make sure the camera. Okay, camera 1, you do a 2-shot. Camera 3, you're on a wide shot. Camera 1, and then there's well, in Big Brother, there's like 50 cameras, but you can live switch and edit. It's not a locked-in edit, but you live switch and offline edit on the
Yeah.
fly. And so you...
So you kind of stand there and go at 3 a.m. when one guy likes
Like, camera 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so,
Good to know.
I've done a bit of TV, and so you generally you'll have a headset on that has there's a guy on a microphone just like this. He's going, camera 4, coming to you in 3. Okay, great. Okay, great. Now 5. Widen out to the 2-shot. Okay, great. Now coming to you in. Okay, camera 1. Step back for wide. That's it. 5, 4. Great. Yes. Number 3. Zoom into a single on
it's
It's kind of like my sex tape.
Yeah.
You're like,
It's like that, and it just runs constantly. And when you see the TV operator, the camera operators, they have the big headsets on, and then the microphone.
So basically, they're getting told what to do.
They're getting told to do zoom in, zoom out, and then they have
I thought,
a red light which blinks, which is called the tally light.
which means you're live.
That you are live to the edit.
Yeah.
And then the classic thing in film, in TV, anything, they call a thing called red light fever, was when you're doing something and then the red light comes up and you freeze
Because you're so freaky.
because you're so freaked out.
It's my camera.
It's my camera, and I'm like, and being a camera assistant, that's part of my job is working when they're recording as being a focus puller.
So when you're doing Big Brother, and there's 50 cameras, do you get a special bonus if your camera is is used in the edit more than your buddy's camera, who just cannot operate properly?
I bet you in Big Brother, there's not even an operator on the cameras. I think the cameras are just sitting
There
there.
might be some hides, and hide through the there'll be guys on peds behind the one-sided mirrors.
Yeah. I bet you the cameras are just sitting there, though.
Now,
No, they'd be on
50
peds.
cameras.
Oh yeah, there'd be so Big Brother. Each
gotta
room
be
would have at least one wall or 2 walls of one-way mirrors. There'd definitely be guys on peds. You'd have the remote cameras, outside up high. Some remote cameras like bathrooms.
now we have a guest who's done tons of things. We should stop conjecturing about Big Brother.
Okay.
Now,
Sure.
let's get to the real important issue.
Yeah.
Your mustache. What is happening?
I love it.
Yeah. I don't know. Listen, it was just a joke. I was just shaving my beard, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to leave my mustache. And then I went to a family event, and as a joke, expecting people to be like, "Hey, what's that horrible thing on your face? When are you gonna cut that?" And no one said anything. Right? So there's two things. Obviously, like number one, they hate me and they don't care about me and they don't even look at me. Or number two,
They see through you.
exactly. Or number two, the mustache really suits my face so much that they don't even notice. In which case, I should probably keep it for a bit.
I think
number
they were like, he's trying to be a man. And it's adorable.
I think I look.
Just let him
I
keep...
think I look incredible.
I think you do.
Thank you, Luke.
The only
Thank you.
the only other South African man I know has a mustache. So to me, it just
Oh,
is
really?
it.
It's actually South African.
I think it's South African,
Oh,
but it
excellent.
does suit your face. It's actually so inconspicuous you don't notice it until you say something,
Yeah.
and then it moves like a big fat worm on top of your
Yeah.
lip.
I call it my shongololo.
Oh,
Yeah.
what is
A
that?
shongololo is like a centipede in South Africa.
Oh.
Yeah. So this is my shongololo. Do you want me to tickle you with my shongololo?
No, do you want to see my shongololo?
That's exactly. Heather looked at me. I was like, "It's my shongololo," and Heather was like, "What?" 'Cause it doesn't sound
And
like
then
a
he asked the
mustache.
same question. She
No.
was like, no.
I actually shave my shongololo. That's not my face.
It doesn't sound like a face thing. It definitely sounds like a penis thing.
Yeah, it does.
Speaking of, you guys have a lot of kids in this house right now.
Mm-hmm.
Luke is visiting because his wife is
On holiday.
gallivanting the world with
Yeah.
your wife.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And
Well, I actually introduced Adrian to his wife.
this is true. So
is true.
I went out, like we were working together, and our relationship was developing. And
We were becoming
turning
good buddies.
good buddies.
We're very similar.
Yeah, and then he just invited me out one night to come for drinks when Heather was visiting his wife Megan, who was your girlfriend at the time,
Yes,
and so
because they went to pharmacy school together.
they went to pharmacy school together. So I went to the restaurant and actually just ignored my wife, who was at the other end of the table and sat next to her parents, which were there, and had a great night. And then
Was that the Yaletown Brew Pub?
I can't remember where it was. Yeah, it was somewhere in Yaletown. Yeah. But and then
Heather would remember.
yeah, she would. And then the next day, you both had to work. Megan had to work. Luke had to work, and I was like, so Heather and I just hung out. And then I left Vancouver and moved to Ontario.
Yes, and so I blame Heather to this day for taking my best friend away.
Yeah.
Never have I met a man as much as I loved Adrian.
I mean, you're talking at the camera as if Heather watches the show ever.
No.
She doesn't.
Oh, no.
She doesn't.
I have no doubt. What are your viewers at? Like 100?
Oh,
No.
That's just on YouTube. Those are the friends whose arms we've been able to twist.
That's right.
To subscribe.
So they
to
press
YouTube.
play, then they go into the kitchen and make dinner.
That's right.
Okay, great.
100%.
And
So
so this is just us and six people, mainly family.
Yep.
Jay's dad.
Oh,
Oh,
our
you're talking
viewers.
about the viewers still.
100%.
Yeah, so there's a lot of
We watch it 3 times each.
there's a lot of kids here. So we both have 2 kids each. So there's 4 kids under 5,
Under 4.
under 4.
And it's busy. Oh. We're not on holiday.
No,
Like
I go to work 14 hours a day, 5 days a week, to go on holiday.
Yeah. Get out of the house with the little babies.
So are you guys having a good time? Is what I'm asking.
Yeah,
Yeah. We're managing.
Yeah.
It's busy though.
Was it a good day today?
that's fine.
It was busy. But it was fun. But it was busy.
You know what the hardest part of the day is? Well, for me, is getting the kids in the car. Out of the car.
You see-
We have 4 car seats in a minivan.
Yeah.
It is hell.
You see, the thing is though that for me, once they're in the car seats,
Yeah, I know.
you have like 40 minutes.
They're strapped in.
They're strapped in. They can't hit each other or scratch each other or like draw on a wall.
Although-
or like they can poop their pants, but
But your girls were doing a kind of a cappella, just like no 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 no.
they were just so loud. Like me and Luke are talking, and they're just like la 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 la, just screaming at the top of their lungs, like singing. But like, and you're just trying your best to ignore them.
We try to ignore.
Just have a conversation.
And not like lose your mind.
Yeah, don't lose
Yeah.
your mind. And you're right
Amazing.
on the edge. You're like.
Yeah, so Adrian, we're talking about this, and then she just. It was
Oh, this is great.
Yeah.
anyway.
Before we started this episode, 2 weeks ago, when we were having our last episode, 30 minutes ago. You were taking a much more important phone call.
I was taking a phone call, yes.
So how is your life going today?
So just hang on. Wait. Let me just do a quick thing. So Luke moved from. When did you move to being a? What was the decision to move from PA/actor dream
Okay.
Oh, right.
to camera assistant? Move into the camera department and be like, hey, I'm gonna do this thing. Like I'm gonna be a DOP.
Well, I don't want to be a DOP, but
The trajectory
the
is
trajectory
into
was
camera,
PA,
like
and then I actually jumped into being an assistant director first.
AD first.
AD first. So I AD'd and I did commercials in Brisbane, and then it was hard to break in because the AD teams just stayed in the team in like they just stayed together and jumped from show to show to show because it's not that busy in Australia. Excuse me. So I started like day calling in camera because camera was interesting and it was back in those days. This was probably back mid 2000s, like 2005, 2006, and so it was still film. So I was loading 35mm on commercials, doing lots of short films in 16 and 35. So I'm one of the rare assistants nowadays working professionally that has a fair bit of film experience. But yeah, so then I just worked into camera, then camera kind of pays a little more, so I just kept on staying in camera, and then just
And then you became a camera assistant. And then
And a camera
why
assistant.
why did you move to Vancouver? What happened?
Well, what is this for people that don't know? Like, what are the stages
okay.
of
Camera
the camera
department.
department?
Okay, so
Yeah.
camera department. So there's in North America. I'll say for North America because it's a little bit different. Britain, Australia, different systems, but
Yeah.
generally North America, it was called the second AC, the second assistant camera, and they're the ones basically with the silly look on their face with the slate that goes 44 take one A mark, and then slaps the sticks, and they, you have to
keep the notes.
They keep notes of what the
What the
cameras
takes
on
are.
a 40mm and this take and what take two and
They make sure the camera's got all the equipment it needs, like the lenses, the
Lenses.
batteries.
Yeah, they're an assistant to the first assistant camera, which is what I do now, which is generally a focus puller. So in every film, mostly every film ever made, the focus of the camera that keeps it sharp is all manually controlled. So when you see someone walking down a hallway, there's someone on the camera that's going 25, physically turning
the focus knob.
turning the barrel of the lens to go 25 feet, 20 feet, 17 feet, 16 feet, 15 feet, 10 feet, 10 feet. As she's turning away, walking back, 10 feet, 10 feet, 12 feet, 14 feet, 15 feet. And they're manually controlling the focus from the subject from the camera. Because people say, hey, why doesn't it just do autofocus? Well, it's subjective sometimes because, you might want to... The camera's moving and there's another actor that comes in and you want to drive the focus back at a certain point, or you've got you need to switch the focus manually as the scene dictates, and so it's very creative. And with camera movement, like when you watch film behind the scenes films from the 70s and 80s, the big cameras, the cameras are generally very static and there's just one shot. But nowadays with film and
Smaller cameras.
the smaller cameras and shots, when you watch the like Lord of the Rings, the shots are way more dynamic. There's and the camera comes in and pushes in, and then it pulls back out, and then it wraps around, and it comes back in. So cameras are way more dynamic nowadays, which is makes it very difficult for camera assistants, focus pullers. So you need to be, it needs to be manual because cameras and computers can't yet really control keeping it sharp, doing this, push in, and it's...
Now listen.
Yeah, I don't know.
Not yet.
It'll get there.
There's
things you can do to get there.
It will get to a point where you'll have a touch screen.
But when I think about it, I think about like if I try to wrap my head around how it would be done with AI, it would be like run the scene once and then just tell it what you want to focus on as you run through the thing, and then the second time you do it, it would just do it.
Yeah, and that is you're right. That may work. except for the fact that there's human error in 1, the camera operator, 2, the dolly grip, 3, the actors, 1, doing things completely different
Yeah.
every take.
Yeah.
The most simple things like an actor's head turn. You generally rack. There's 2 people talking here. You generally rack focus on an actor's head turn. So the actor turns to look at someone, you'll see the focus go. Whoosh. Now, you know, the actors just do it randomly different every time, and they might even fake you out, like go, that's a good idea, and they just kind of do a little, they give it a little bit, and you rack because you expect them to do the same thing, but they just kind of half did, and then they came back, and then you're like, oops, and you got to pull back, and then they go again, and you're like, Ruh. And so the actors do it. The actors are the worst nowadays because they do it differently every time because they're given the freedom with technology to just do whatever they want.
Because there's no film stock.
There's
running
no
through the-
film stock. There's
through
no
the
hey, just roll, and they just like walk in and the actors walk around everywhere and you're just like, oh, they're going over here, and so that's what the skill comes in nowadays. That I have like a quarter to half a second to catch an actor doing something completely random and transfer it from me seeing it onto the camera lens with very, very with minute accuracy
Yeah.
of
It's
distance.
it can't be like you don't want to go too far and come back.
No,
You
exactly.
got to be like, bow, make it look like it's intentional.
Yeah, and so there's certain tips and tricks for doing it and getting away with it, but it's anyway. It's a very technical job, but has a creative element.
Yeah.
To
So
it.
you started working for the camera department more and more
Yep.
in Australia,
Yep,
and then
and then
Why Vancouver?
well, I packed up one day and I went and traveled the world. And then I was in Europe for about 4 months, and I went to Greece on a Kentucky tour, and I met my wife on a dirty Kentucky tour.
You moved to Vancouver for Megan?
Well, Megan was a
Was a
factor.
Was a factor.
It was a factor. I'd already been to Vancouver at that point.
Yeah.
And I worked on Twilight and some bits and pieces. Name drop. And so I was already been
You
here.
better just tell us all the big things you've worked on. Just get out of your system.
Okay, I'll just undo my fly. No, there's not that many. It's not that.
This is my film cock
It's big as a baby's arm.
holding an apple.
So I met this. I'd been here for a little bit, and then I had applied to the union. There's a camera-specific union, and I got accepted. And I was like, oh, maybe I'll move to Vancouver. And then I met this Canadian broad in Greece, who was from Ontario. Remember, Heather's friend. And so I said, hey, I got this thing in Vancouver happening. Would you want to move to Vancouver? And she said, sure. And so then we moved out together, and almost 10 years later, we got...
so she moved for you.
She moved from Ontario to BC for me. Best decision she ever made. Well, it's snowing here. It's miserable.
Yeah. But let me tell you something. It doesn't rain all winter.
That's true.
In Ontario. And then do you know what? In summer, it gets over 23 degrees.
It gets over 23 in BC.
Oh, you can have a whole summer. I had whole summers in Vancouver where it doesn't even, where you have to take a sweater with you everywhere you go because it doesn't get hot enough.
Guys, this is a film podcast. Sort of.
It's not a competition between Ontario and BC.
Or is it?
Or is it?
Maybe you're right. I don't know. Anyway, moved there, and then I got stuck working camera. And after, 9 years now, it is with the rise of streaming, it is the busiest it's been. Like, we can't find enough people in camera department, and therefore people that aren't skilled enough are getting jobs, and it's crazy. It's not going to stop anytime soon. As
streaming.
All right,
2019.
Give us. Can you give us? We'll cut this out. Can you give us examples of shows with poor camera work? Where you're like, the people that are shit camera operators worked on these shows. Are you able to do that? Or
It's
is
more about-
rough?
No, because
with the ones that I've worked with.
No.
It's
Or,
like,
or shit camera work.
Just,
some
like,
of the
do
most infamous ones.
Are you allowed to have stories about shitty operators?
Or not shitty
Shitty
operators,
operators.
but shitty camera departments.
Shitty
which
camera department.
give people a bad
Well,
name.
one of the most infamous ones of modern time is Interstellar, which is one of the brutal ones because it's a film show, and with there's just been doing it.
Yeah, because Christopher Nolan.
It's Christopher Nolan. He's a
It's
big film
35
guy,
millimeter,
and there's a
yeah.
shot as everyone you'll see when Matt McConaughey is crying. I think he's talking to Murph, the young girl in the bed, and he's crying. And he's kind of just leaning forward a little bit. And you'll see the focus just kind of push past his eye to his ear. And you'll see the focus just sit right here. And you'll see his eyes not quite sharp. That right there is the epitome of a focus pull. And it's a film show. And
That's
Adrian and
tough.
Adrian and I
Yeah.
know the specifics of why that's tough.
Because the thing is, with 35 millimeter, you're not seeing the actual image. You're seeing like a smaller representation of
could be
what's going to be
standard
on
def,
the film,
but
right?
This could be standard def, but even film guys, the film guys they're doing on their instinct of
Yeah.
how far away they
Distance, like they measure the distance, right? So they can't, like when you're doing digital, you're seeing the actual image, so you can see in your monitor as an
Right.
AC if it's sharp or out of focus. Whereas film, you can't see that.
Okay.
You
So
can't
to
really
me,
judge it.
That's not a bad example.
No.
A bad example would be if you could see it and it's still shoddy work.
Yeah.
Well, you can because the focus is here and his eyes are out of focus, and so the focus has always got to go to the eyes. But I mean, it's camera operating is subjective. Like the classic ones, Mr. Robot, and these shows which was a very odd framing. I
They
mean,
frame people at the bottom.
frame people at the bottom, and it's kind of a thing called what's it called when you
Dutch tilt.
when you do
Oh,
the close-up.
blind. Yeah, you do you do the short
short sighting,
Yeah.
which is generally in this is going to get technical and operating, but
That's
that doesn't
okay.
matter.
Well, first of all, when you're saying framing people at the bottom, what do you mean?
Yeah, so you know the 3/4 rule, like, so if I was in a frame right now, I'd be like here. So here's the top of the frame, right, and the bottom of the frame is here. So my eyes are like 3/4 up the frame, but like 2/3. Sorry, 2/3. But like sometimes with some of the framing, like I think they started it in an English show called Luther,
Right.
where they would do this. They put the guy at the bottom of the frame. And they did it for some wide shots. So you'd have and they'd even move it over. So like his head was in like the corner of the frame. And then there was like this empty frame, which was like really weird framing.
Can I
But
just say, I really like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But you like it because it's interesting to your eye.
And
Yeah.
it's got to be
Because
done
it's
for the
fresh.
right thing, and it's still got to look like camera operating because people know like a camera operator, their job literally is just to point the camera.
Yeah. I find
Everything
that
else
when people do that, though, it feels to me, whenever I see something like that, it feels to me like a decision.
yes,
Not like
Not
not
like an
just
oopsie.
standard status quo. It feels like they've put that guy's head in the bottom left-hand corner and
Yes.
shown like the sky and this thing for like a weird reason.
yeah, but that's we're talking about a specific example of embellishing that.
Yeah.
Now there is varying lines, and I can show you an example on a show shot in later, and I'll
After
show
this
you
show's
after
over.
this
That's fine.
off camera of a perfect example of shitty operating.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and you'll see it, and that is a broadcast show. Like this show is everywhere.
So, but part of the thing I think Luke is talking about is like, but it's also like when he's talking about people coming up too soon.
Yeah, that's kind of what I
Yeah.
meant.
Yeah, he's like, it's not really like the show would still get made, and the audience might never know
Yeah.
that there was something wrong, but inside the production world, the camera departments of Vancouver might be getting a bad reputation.
And then there's some,
Right, because it's not professional, because they're stumbling over themselves, because they're unable to do the job that they should be, right? Because
Right.
they're concerned. They want productions to come to Vancouver.
Yeah.
So when you have a camera team that's like unable to do the job that's required of them, people are like, well, we're not going to come back to Vancouver, and that's the concern.
and that's
More than like, oh, the camera operating is bad, because like they'll edit the show together and it'll look what it.
the reason I'm late, and 2 weeks ago you recorded that other podcast, is I was having a conversation with a production manager of a show coming up.
Now, can you talk about the show at all? Because we
Yes, I
we
think so.
mentioned
I think so.
that the show was a big movie on Netflix.
I'm not 100% sure it's Netflix.
Oh, we're talking about your other one then.
Oh, Virgin River?
No. The one that you were just filling out the document.
Oh, it must be Netflix. Of course, I had Netflix on the title. Right.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. It is Netflix. Yes. At the moment it's called the Untitled Graham King Project. So I know Graham King is a producer who did Bohemian Rhapsody, and is an English producer. He's done a lot of stuff.
You should
It also
you should get him a coffee.
Sandra Bullock is producing it.
No. Oh, she's producing.
She's producing. Yeah, she's producing.
That's exciting.
I assume she's in the cast.
She's gonna hecht in the movie.
Yeah, so I don't know too much about it. Obviously, so the reason I was having the conversation is that I have to do my deal. They want me to do the deal, literally sign the bottom line on my deal before I get any information. Mm-hmm. So I don't know anything because I haven't done my deal yet. Because I'm negotiating.
Ah, excellent. But don't you have your standard? You're just like, this is what I'm going to do it for because this is what I always do it for.
No, because there's the scale rate, which my union sets the rate. Mm-hmm. But then because it's busy and because I am me.
You're excellent.
Well, I'm not excellent.
Because I was in the elevator with Morpheus.
Yeah, well, I am just saying, well, how about a little more? And they go,
Yep.
well, and I'm like, well, and they're like, well, and I'm like,
well,
and they're like, okay.
That is negotiating 101.
Yeah, and so,
Well.
yeah, and so.
you guys said a lot there.
Yeah. It's not a lot. It's not a lot over, but yeah, so in this one I'm being the A camera first AC, which
Sorry,
means,
guys, I got to step away again.
Yeah. Oh my god.
I have an important text.
So I'm the A camera first AC, which
Your
means
children
I
are
essentially am in charge of the camera department. So there's the cinematographer.
Yeah.
Who is in charge of the look and feel of the movie?
Yes.
Through the technically, like managing the technical things.
Managing everything.
This is a movie or a TV show?
This is a movie,
Okay.
and the cinematographer just did his latest project. It was a little film. I think it shot in London. Had this guy named Robert Downey Jr. in it, and it was called
Iron Man 4.
Dr. Dolittle.
Dr.
I heard things about that.
Yes,
It's all over the
There's
internet.
a lot of stuff on the internet, and he actually asked me to come to UK and do it. No true story.
There's a lot of shit going on around the internet
so
about how the
it's-
directors
yeah,
crazy.
Yeah, it's had a lot of chaos, unfortunately. But
Wow.
I did a little movie with him a couple of years ago
With the director?
with the DP
from Dolittle, yeah,
who with Catherine Zeta-Jones, and we became good friends. And so when
The DP or you and Catherine?
the DP,
Okay.
and so I did a good job, and he liked the way I did stuff. And so when he came back up with a bigger film, he gave me a call, which was very flattering because I don't generally do these kind of films, but he felt that he liked the way I did, the way I run a department, the way I do things. And he called me for this big feature. So
Congratulations.
Yeah.
This is good.
This is exciting.
This is
it's a big feature,
big.
and it's
Yeah, and
like
it's important.
It puts
like
me, it kind of puts me into a next level.
Oh, it does?
Well, when people see my name on it, they're gonna go, "That guy." All right. But because my reputation precedes me, being a filthy Australian. But
What is your reputation in Vancouver as the Luke Barlow? Let me
a lot of DITs don't like me.
Yeah, I'll tell you. I'll tell you what
What's
a lot
a
of
DOT?
people-
DIT is a digital imaging technician.
Okay.
Or a DIT.
And why don't they like you?
So they're on set. So the camera,
This is juicy. I like this.
the camera image gets sent from the camera to Video Village where the director's sitting, and in Video Village is the digital image technician who is like making sure that the image looks good for the director and that the input is
that the image is protected through the post-production process.
so the image that you're capturing is going to be
The
good
image,
for post-production.
yeah. So that's where it started, but the DIT position has evolved, and it's gotten because sometimes they actually take the data and they manage the data. So, which is
Okay.
a very important. You take the card out of the camera and you copy it. You make
Onto
3
the hard
copies,
drives.
hard drives. You make 3 copies. And that was part of their job. That was, you look after the data. But nowadays they shuffle that job onto minions, and they just sit and kind of do this. It's called on-set color grading. But
Really?
yeah, they do. It's called live grading or live on-set color grading.
Because the thing is, like, what the director is, because let's say, for instance, you're recording raw in the camera. What the director wants to see in the monitor is not raw.
Right.
The director wants to see as close as possible to what the final image is going to look like, so that
And
they
the
can make
producers and
decisions,
the
right?
producers want to see what the DP's got in mind.
Yeah.
Because if they see something different on set, and then
They're not gonna know.
6 months later he does a color grade and it's like completely different,
Yeah.
they're like, well, that's not what we saw on set.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I understand the position of why it's there. It's kind of
Yeah.
it's on set, it's live grading for dailies color grading. So the dailies, the what you shoot that day gets sent all up the studio and everyone can view it. So it's important, don't get me wrong. But it can be changed. It is something that can be changed later on. And especially in a film like this, they're going to do what's called a color grade in 3 and 4 months when the edit's done, and they're going to micromanage every
Right.
little grade, and it's going to be perfect.
Right.
So the fact that it can be changed later means that, to me, that it's not as important to hold up the filming process for his
This individual.
this individual's subjective taste of how he thinks it should be, because with the rise of their power becomes the rise of their ego and their pay scale, and it creates a conflict, because the one thing you can't change in post is the focus. And so and as my job as focus puller, if they impede in any way or form my job, because my job of getting sharp is important,
Then
their
Luke's
job
gonna
of
cut
changing
you.
this later, then
Yeah.
I'm going to cut you.
You're gonna go to war.
I even one day because they upset me that much, is that we had to plug in the camera to this village, and it was in my way, and I said we can do this better, and he said no, and I just got a knife and I just cut the cable, because it didn't matter what he wanted. But I'm ballsy. That's why they hate me. But
Yeah. So this is what you said. His reputation precedes him. Luke is like, he's gruff. He's gonna tell you exactly what he thinks, and
I tend to say
gonna-
open and honest.
Yeah, that's a very nice way of putting it. But like,
But you told him he had a nice mustache.
not yeah. Open
I
and
do.
honest.
I love the
Don't be a
mustache.
jerk. Thank you. but like, I wouldn't say like, but the more people with a more sensitive sensibility might find Luke a little abrasive.
Canadians. Sorry.
Might find
Canadians.
might find
There's only one fucking Canadian in this room.
yeah,
Well, that's what I'm saying.
totally.
He and I, we get each other.
Yeah. Just a little abrasive. They'd be like, "What the fuck? He's so rough." But,
Yeah. So it's anyway. So I was just on the phone call having a conversation because there's a DIT employed on this job who I've worked with in the past, and I just had to let the guy on the phone call was the production manager or producer that we have history, and if he gets in my way, I'm going to cut him. That's what I told him.
So put something in my contract.
Yeah, I said I know this guy, and if he's, we have to have a conversation before we get started. We're going to have a conversation that's going to implement who has the power in the department. And I've worked with the DP, and he hasn't. And if he wants to rumble, I'll call the DP right now, and I'll get him fired. So, yeah, I
is
have.
that what you said to him?
Yeah, I said I have the power in this department, and if he starts stuff and starts throwing his ego about what he wants, it's gonna cause a power struggle, and I'm gonna come down on him.
Now,
Wow.
And
first
I'll
of all,
win.
amazing.
Wow. That's a lot of politics.
It's
That
all
just
politics
happened.
because
There's a lot of-
because the producer and the PM hired the DIT, not Guillermo.
Oh, and you know Guillermo personally.
Yeah, so I did another movie with him, and he called me to this guy. Said, "Luke, you do the show?" Yeah, I'm like, "Yeah." And his son is going to operate B camera, and and his son and I talk all the time. We're good friends, and I built the camera crew, so I'm in charge of 6 people in charge of this camera department, and the DIT is on his own little thing.
And if he wants to go,
And if he wants to rumble, I've got 6 people that I'm I'm
Worried
managing.
about.
I'm worried about his decisions influence these 6 people.
It does seem like there's a lot of politics on film sets.
Oh, it's all politics. It's politics all the way up. Like even a DP to the director it's someone above you all the way up, and it's it's even easier. It's easier on set than it is up top.
Up top is really
above the
it
line,
must
it's
be
all
really
politics.
ruthless.
And especially the prime example, if you've got someone like Sandra Bullock who's acting but also producing, then say you have a director comes in, but the director's not on board in producing, and he says, Sandra, why don't you try it like this? And she says, no. And you're like, well, okay then, because
You're like, that take was excellent.
Yeah, that was great, Sandra. Yeah.
That was brilliant.
so, but that's a classic example of. But then Sandra
It's true.
has employed
The
that
director
director
for his vision.
vision.
Yeah, that's tough.
So, like, that's a prime example of that dynamic that is happening at that upper echelon where you're like,
Do you want me to do this thing or not?
Yeah, exactly.
But you know what the thing? No, but
Do you want this to be directed by me or directed by you? Sort of an idea, right?
But here is the way that can be managed, because that's an excellent example. But like the way that it can be managed is do it my way, because Sandra can always just get the one she wants and then change it in the edit, because she's the producer, so
She's
going to
be there, and the director will be there too. And that's right. Like this kind of film.
Just get both of them.
Let's
Get
get
your
both
version,
because you never know the
get
way
my
I
version.
want it. You might love it later.
I love it.
Yeah, and on a
'Cause
film.
that's happened with me. I have said that to people before. I've been like, no,
Well,
I don't want that. And then we end up doing it, and I'm like, in the edit, I'm like, thank goodness we
Yeah.
did that. We did that
really?
different. Yeah,
I know-
100%. I have been wrong. I've been wrong about things that
More times than you're right.
No, never. But
well, I will say,
I have been
even
wrong
though-
about stuff that I'm adamant about. That I'm like, no, we will not need to do it this way.
We'll
And
not
then
need
we-
singles.
Then we do it, and
Well-
then I'm like, thank goodness we did it.
I will say that I don't have tons of experience, but there have been a couple times where I'm like, we're gonna do it like this, and then it worked out later. In Bickerman's Grove, when I was like, okay, when everybody's getting upset, I was like, here's what we're gonna do. We're just gonna we're gonna stop each time and get each person's thing.
Yeah. Stop
Right?
and go. Yeah.
Hot
Get
damn,
the
did
whole
that
scene.
help?
Yeah, you're totally
Austin
right.
goes, see rolling, just get it.
Yeah. Just get every line.
Do you know who's the master of that?
Who?
Uwe Boll.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Who is Uwe Boll?
He's
a
the guy
famous
that
German
like
director.
yeah he did Postal first of all.
Yeah.
So that's how we're
Dra-
connected.
Dragon Siege.
He did it like he's
done a bunch of
done like a bunch of famously shit movies, I guess is the idea. But the thing is like
You got him
they
done.
they also say that he's had like German mob money or
Yeah.
Russian mob money or whatever.
Yeah, something. Yeah.
Whatever. Who knows?
So
Who
for
fuck
you,
knows?
he was the king of the stop and go.
Yeah.
Because that's how you get a scene, a really complicated scene,
Well-
really quickly.
Yeah. Well, he gets like I've done 2 films with him now, and it's really interesting, like, because he'll just scream from the village, like even the actors, because he gets the actors on board, like, come do my show, and like, okay, he's like, no, stop it, no, say the line, no, say it better, no, say it more angry. Okay, good, move on. No, next guy. Now you say your next line. And we're still rolling. The camera's like, what are we doing? He's like, he's just screaming from the village. So it's pretty.
Sounds pretty cool.
Then the actors get snipey and they come back and he's like, fuck you, Uwe. And he's like, fuck you, say the line. Like, it's hilarious.
I'm gonna remember. Fuck you. Say the line.
Yeah.
That is excellent.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
Yeah.
And
That's great. I mean, it's the thing is, what's funny is that it's a life that nobody else is living at
Yeah.
all. Is this?
it's fun.
Fuck you. Say the line. If that's in your life, you've got an interesting fucking life.
Oh,
You know.
I mean, the guy's made a lot of movies.
Yeah, and well, you heard the classic thing was that someone gave him a bad review, and then he said, "Yeah, well, if you want to, let's fight." And so he got
That's
this
right.
critic, and the critic said, "Well, I'll fight you." And he goes, "All right, let's go." And so they set it all up. This film critic jumped in a boxing ring with him, and he's like he works out on set, and he got in and just beat the piss out of this guy.
He's like a thumb.
Like he just just got into him and just beat the piss out of him. And they go,
is it on video?
Yeah, it's on
somewhere?
YouTube.
Yeah, like first of all,
I
here's
must
the
watch
guy.
this.
Yeah, he's
Oh, I mean, no critic
he's
gets into the ring with that guy. He looks like a UFC fighter.
he owns a restaurant in Vancouver, a German restaurant.
Blood Rain, In the Name of the King, Rampage, Postal, Alone in the Dark.
Rampage? Like the
Yeah.
new one with the...
No.
With
The one where the guy shoots all the people.
Yeah.
Okay.
I did one called
Rampage 2,
I did
Rampage
Suddenly.
3.
I did one called Suddenly with
Assault on Wall Street.
Ray Liotta. And you'll appreciate this as a filmmaker. So we're shooting up in Squamish, BC. It must have been like end of October, November kind of time. So it was cold. We're shooting. It's sunny, but it's kind of cold. So we're shooting this house. It's also this one house because when it's that kind of budget level, you shoot the whole film in like 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
In this house, okay, it's sunny, and the whole film is set in one day. It's a remake of some Frank Sinatra movie where the president comes to town and these terrorists kind of set up in a house that has a sniper view and they're going to try and kill the president or something. And so we shoot like 3/4 of the movie at this house, and then on like the fourth last day, it snows. And so the entire, like a lot of snow. And so the entire house and all the house, everything is just covered in snow. We just kept shooting. I don't know. To this day, I've never watched it. And then it cuts like that night, and we're downtown Squamish shooting the president coming up, and it's like a foot of snow everywhere. And like literally, like 2 hours earlier, it's like sunshine and there's nothing everywhere. Like I still don't know how because we were jumping between scenes. I was like, that is
back and forth all over the place.
they were just blowing out. You know, it's classic. If you're inside, you blow the window out of light so you don't see out the window.
What was the name of the movie? Remember?
Suddenly.
Yeah. We'll have to check it out and see
how they cut it together. That's really interesting. I'm intrigued to see just a shot of snow, and then maybe in the edit you can make it work.
I don't know.
It's tough. It's tough. So Luke, you're busy working on.
Well, give us
Netflix series called Virgin River Season 2. It's based on a romance novel. It's good. It's good. Martin Henderson is a Kiwi.
It's
good guys.
It's Netflix's foray into Hallmark style romance.
Yes, they're going deep. They're doing one in Atlanta now called Sweet Magnolias with Britney Spears' sister, Jamie Lynn Spears, isn't that? My buddy Matt Drake's producing that.
Okay.
And they're big. There's mass market there. There's Hallmark has got their channel, the Christmas movies,
and they are making lots of money. They must.
You've all seen them. And so Netflix looking at yes you have. So Netflix
You've seen Hallmark movies. Anne watches Hallmark movies, so you have seen them. They are in you. They are in you right now.
I mean, I've walked past them while they've been on TV.
I mean, I've worked on at least 7.
Amazing.
At least 7.
I was in one just recently. Yeah.
Yeah. This is the one that I told you
shot
about.
here.
The shot here at the airport, grounded for Christmas.
You got to get on that.
Yeah. Well, he was
called the executive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, not the executive. We know the
executive
line
producer. Yeah. You got to. I gave him some what's what.
Yeah, he told me what we should do.
Well, let's talk about that next podcast.
Next podcast.
Okay.
Because there has to be a break in between this podcast and next podcast.
Well, more importantly, because I
gotta piss as well.
I mean, that's got.
I gotta.
When everyone needs to piss.
Yeah, I'm about
it's
to
almost the
stand
end of
up.
the show.
I'm just gonna stand up and like. So anyway, Luke, what is your plan? Well, we're gonna get into.
Because the next episode we want to talk about stuff.
Stuff.
But what I would love to
Dreaming.
hear just drop a couple more things over the last. So while you've been in BC,
Yep.
give people like a couple amazing things you worked on and maybe like a fucking dope story that like no one will have heard. Like tell us how much of an asshole somebody in particular is.
So-
Somebody who's sweet.
Someone who's sweet, as in someone sweet who's great.
No, like tell us someone who we would think is sweet. That's a super a-hole. That's the juiciest stuff. That way we can, when we write our blog posts that are like, you'll never believe what Keanu Reeves is like in the bathroom.
So
what is?
I did Lucifer was a big one. I did Lucifer season 1 and 2.
That's my favorite.
Yeah, so I'm still in contact with Kevin Alejandro, who plays the cop.
That's so cool.
And Lauren, I text now and then. She's number 2. She plays Chloe Decker.
Are you drunk when you text her?
No, because And
Who is this?
one of my best friends was Tom's stand-in on the show, and him and Tom are really good friends. Like he went to Tom's wedding to Megan Oppenheimer, and they have projects going. Oh, I could drop it. That's a juicy nugget. No, I can't drop that.
Oh.
There's
Okay, you drop it after.
so
But
Tom.
but also-
I'll just say this: Tom Ellis was in Vancouver last week filming something for some kind of crossover. I heard a rumor.
Oh my God! It's a Lucifer Constantine crossover.
What is that? What's Constantine?
What?
Don't be stupid.
Is that the Keanu? But that's Keanu Reeves.
Keanu
Well, I
Reeves.
mean, it's also a TV show.
And it's a comic book, isn't
Yeah,
it?
Hellblazer.
Yeah.
That's not filmed here.
I don't know where it's filmed.
Constantine.
I don't know.
Listen.
I don't know anything.
Okay. Anyway. Yeah, so Tom's great. That crew were awesome. Tom is great. It was such a fun crew. I know
It's a
he wants.
Lucifer Supergirl crossover. Isn't that filmed in BC?
It totally is.
Yeah.
Boom. Holy shit.
Maybe.
The Flash is
Anyway.
gonna fight the devil.
Maybe it's like. Could it be like a Virgin River?
Hey, you hope so.
Probably not.
No. It was good. Lucifer. I did this sci-fi show last year called Another Life, which is on Netflix right now. It's got.
I think I've heard of it, but I haven't watched it.
It's fantastic.
Cool.
Another life.
Another Life.
Okay.
My 14-year-old son loves Lucifer.
Yeah, Lucifer. Like it was a fun show. The cast were great.
Yeah.
And we were really bummed that it went to LA. Because I did 2 years on it, so it was great. What else I did? I can't remember. Like just
I can't
a lot of
remember
more
all
TV. Once Upon a Time in Wonderland, which was the Alice in Wonderland spin-off of Once Upon a Time. I think it aired like 3 episodes before it got cancelled. Did another series called Grace Point, which was a remake of a British show called Broadchurch.
Oh, you do. Oh, yeah.
So it's a
Anne loves that
US
show.
Broadchurch is excellent.
Broadchurch is actually so Dave Tennant.
I haven't
Dave
watched it,
Tennant.
but Anne's watched a lot
Broadchurch
of
is
it.
excellent.
Dave Tennant played
Oh, he
reprised
came
his
over.
role
Oh.
in a US remake.
And did you do an American accent?
Yes,
Oh,
it got
excellent.
better as episodes went on.
Let me tell you something. Very excellent.
Yes, it's called Grace Point. Hard to find. Great cast.
Many, like a mini series.
Miniseries, yeah, 10 episodes. Nick
And,
Nolte, Michael Pena,
Yeah. it was
Virginia Cull. She was awesome. A guy named Kevin Rankin, who's great. He's on Lucifer season 1 too. He's a great actor. He was in Dallas Buyers Club too.
good. Oh.
Became good buddies with him. He's a good dude. Yeah, and Anna Gunn from Breaking Bad, who played Skylar in Breaking Bad. She played the Olivia Colman female detective role.
She's great.
Olivia Colman or Anna Gunn?
Yes, Anakin.
Yeah.
I like. Well, I don't know what she's like in real life, but I'm just saying
It's
that
tough.
I love actors and actresses who you
Hate.
on TV.
Yeah,
because
she
I'm
has
like,
that. She was really nice, but yeah, it was a tough show. And that's the other thing people maybe don't
I
know
hated Skylar.
is that working on heavy content like that, like people saying Broadchurch is about this kid that dies and
Who is the killer?
who's the killer and attacking the and how it how the town kind of it's just heavy. It's heavy dark drama, and it makes working on it really heavy and dark. And so it's like
because everybody gets into it, kind of.
well, you just people are like, oh, okay, you don't want to talk to the actors too much because they're in the moment, and so it was a
You don't want people making light and cracking jokes when they gotta be sad
When you gotta be
or
serious.
angry.
Yeah, and so it was really weird, and so the dynamic between Anna and Dave was kind of on and off, and but most of the supporting cast were really good. But it was just because so dark and heavy. We shot in Victoria for 6 months, so I moved over there for
smart.
6 months. It was
You
great.
did?
Yeah.
With children?
No, this was like
Before children?
6 years
BC?
ago. Yeah, and then that's good. And then yeah, that was a big one. But it was just dark. And then after doing Lucifer, where it's fun and light, it was. Now I just try and stick to comedies, and dramas. I don't do. I get offers to do other shows, but I ask, what's the content? Nah, they're night shoots.
And now they're like, you have to sign on the dotted line and agree to do it before we
Yeah.
tell you what it's all about.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're like, fuck.
But
Yeah.
that's a new, but it's a new
But if they say it's a psychological horror filmed at night in the Langley or something, I'm like, nope.
Not interested.
Well, I got a. Yeah, I won't say that. I got some offers
Listen,
that were
Netflix,
interesting.
Mindhunter season 3 is coming, and
No. Well, that was the other podcast. We'll tell a story about Stephen King coming up. Another show, Stephen King.
But we're going to talk about your hustling
I'm a hustler.
and what you're doing outside of the camera department to try and make your dreams come true.
You want to do that now?
No, well, I need to schwaz.
Yeah, you sure as too.
but yes.
So listen, this is the end of this episode,
Boca
which is
Loco, what's
an
the-
epic episode, talking to Luke Barlow, first camera assistant from Vancouver. And
Luke. Before we wrap up, can you hang on for 2 more minutes? Here we go.
oh yes,
3 desert island movies, Luke. Movies that you would want to watch over and over and over again. If you could only choose 3.
Oh. See, the fact you have to watch them over and
Gen-
over and over again.
That's it.
See, that's
Generally,
the killer.
they can't be your favorite movies of all time.
well they could, but
They
not
gotta be.
necessarily.
It's like the guilty pleasure movies.
Yeah, the movies that you
Well,
don't mind
my
watching. over
big
and
guilty
over.
pleasure movie is The Boondock Saints.
That's excellent. What
That's
an excellent
like,
action movie.
I love watching it.
Yeah.
When he rips the toilet out the floor, and,
And the
saw that
sound-
for this,
and
I saw
I've-
this for
and
the
I've
first time,
seen-
I was like,
I've seen Overnight.
so incredible.
I've seen
you
Overnight,
see-
and
when
I
you
know
see
what
William
it's like.
Willem Dafoe and he leans over and there's a dude in his bed and you're like,
Yeah.
oh, it's the best.
No, have you seen Overnight? The making.
Yeah.
Oh, so
So
I know.
good.
So I know how bad it went down, but I just love it. The soundtrack too, which the soundtrack really works.
Yeah.
And you know that
Have
Troy's
you
band
seen
made the soundtrack.
Boondock Saints 2?
Yeah.
Because I went to see it in the theater.
Oh, so did I. And I was like, oh.
So terrible.
Yeah.
That was so. I was so sad.
So that's one. Second movie,
I don't even know how.
but have to be something sci-fi. You know, I might even do Fifth Element.
That is an excellent.
You know, because
You know, Adrian often reminds people that you might need something that you can wank to. So
That's a
good
good-
choice.
If you're on a desert island, you might need something that gets you a little going.
yeah, it's a
gets
bit-
you going.
Well, I didn't think of that, but I just love Fifth Element. Like, it's got so much in it.
Chicken.
Yeah. 3. You know, I'm a big Star Wars fan. I want to do some Star Wars film, but I just can't bring myself. Man,
Do one.
if I had to do one, obviously it's got to be Empire. But I read a lot of the prequel novels around Rogue One, so I know a lot more of the extra backstory around Rogue One, so I don't mind it. But I hated the way it was shot because it was wide open in film and just in and out of focus. And I hate
I actually loved Rogue One.
Yeah, so Rogue One's in there.
Do you know what? And it would as a focus puller, he was noticing the focus.
Yeah. Yeah, I think something like that. Maybe something like Amelie or something. I don't know, like
something romantic.
Something just a
Something
little
soft and
funky.
tender.
Because Amelie, again, is one of those movies that has a lot.
God, that's an excellent movie. Have
a
you
Never
lot-
seen it.
Well, it has a lot.
It
Like,
was
you
my
can
fa-
watch
it.
it.
Was my favorite movie for a long time.
You can
It
watch
was
it
my favorite
5
movie
times
with
right now, and you could pick up something different. Like some subtext in it every
Amelie.
time.
Amelie was one of my favorite movies, along with Fight Club. Like it was like Fight Club
Yeah,
was like,
yeah, Fight Club's another good one.
and Amelie was like on the other side of the spectrum. It was just a different side of the spectrum, and just beautiful, gorgeous, and you just fell in love with this girl, right?
I mean,
Or
it's been
I-
sitting on my shelf for like.
Oh,
you know,
have
you know
it.
what I would do?
Oh,
Even
dude.
Parasite, the new Boone, the Korean film Parasite that just won at Cannes this year.
Oh,
It is fantastic.
it's good.
Oh yeah,
Cool.
it's shot beautifully, and it's such a weird film.
Okay,
Great. I like that.
maybe
Lot of
something
some-
weird that keeps your mind
Yeah,
ticking over,
Parasite.
thinking.
It's great.
I don't want to be looking over my shoulder on a desert island
We can watch that tomorrow. If you want, after
Yeah.
with the girls.
Yeah, I might have to pick Shutter Island. Shutter Island might be one of mine.
Yes, you said that a couple of times
Don't
in
make me-
passing.
Don't make me slap your face. Okay,
Next podcast, whoever's left.
that was the
All right.
person who survived the fight.
That was episode 72. Thanks, Luke.
No,
And
thank you for
do-
having me.
we'll
It's
do
been
this
awesome.
Again, it's gonna be amazing.
I know we're gonna go change our pants, and then we'll be right back.
Dream big.
Work hard.
Get in the chair and ride it.
Thanks for watching.
First frames first.
Yes, first frames first. Thank you, Jason.
Welcome.
If you enjoyed, head over to our website, www.thefableforest.com. Check out our films and sign up for our newsletter where we will send you exclusive content.
Hit us up on our socials, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, always at The Fable Forest. And share our show with your friends. It'll really help us out a lot.
Dream big.
Work hard.